Kill him. Kick his ass. Nice. The animation style got a lot better, I feel like.
You did what you thought was right.
Oh, we need a Pilot Legend so bad. That was pretty cool. I would probably put it like upper A tier, right below Forge getting killed. I think that's fair. I think A for Anita is the play. Going on to the next one. This one is Judgment, the Mad Maggie story. Oh, we finally see Mr. Silva. The new villain is introduced here.
It's Mad Maggie.
And pointless.
This part's crazy, man.
Salvo is a syndicate world now.
Look at this, look at this. Oh!
Salvo was a free world. No matter whose flag is soiled.
That part's so weird. He's so badass. 9 out of 10 dentists don't recommend. Mr. Silva says no.
Let's see him bloody try to kill me.
The part with the tooth really makes me not like that part. I'd probably put it bottom of seats here. It's such an okay trailer. Now we're moving on to Hero. So this one is the Newcastle trailer. This one's pretty cool.
I have returned.
It's like a little comic book style. This is the first time that I've ever met like a person that hasn't qualified for the Apex games. Like I was like, if Newcastle can't qualify, but like they're just letting in Mad Maggie, a criminal, recently, or they're letting in Mirage. Like how did Mirage qualify? But whatever. These gangsters are so. I like this gangster's design.
Look, man, it's not me. These crappy teammates are dragging me down.
Doesn't matter. You haven't made it in.
It's not me. These crappy teammates are dragging me down. That's the most Apex Legends statement ever.
Just give me another shot.
Ooh, the pun. The puns, dude. I forgot about this. The puns are crazy. Damn. Boy, he can fight. He can fight.
It's hilarious. Trash man thinks he'll do better than me.
Yeah, he sucks. This guy sucks. This guy's so cocky. He's over here like, he never qualified for the game ever. He's like, this trash man thinks he's gonna do better than me. Anyone could do better than you, dude.
Don't talk. Hey, you.
He's dead.
See you soon, sis.
It's a great introduction to Jackson. At this point, this is the second time we've seen him, so now it's like even better. And I'm just really glad that that worked out. I love Newcastle. I think he's one of my favorites that they added recently. For his story, it's not bad. It's a good length. It's a good way to show why he's in the games, because it really is confusing as to why he's like hiding his identity and stuff. It does all of the jobs correctly. It also does like put a hole into what the Apex games are. Like, do you live? Do you die? Are there risks? Like, there's a million questions that keep coming up whenever anything is brought up with the logistics and the actual like economics of the Apex games, you know. But beyond that, I'm putting it in top of B. B for best dad. Just a solid Stories from the Outlands. Nothing that made me go like, whoa, but it's good. So B tier is, I think, fair. The last long one we have is this one, which is Family Business. This one is literally just here to sell stuff. There's not a single single new character really introduced in this one, and it's just to sell skins. You'll see in a second. It shows a little bit of Lifeline backstory though. It's Lifeline backstory.
Don't be upset, AJ.
So it just shows Lifeline was a combat medic. Ooh, her family's company, man.
I'll figure something out.
Silver Pharmaceuticals. I love that it shows like her and Octane's like friendship, which is really cool because like they've been friends since forever because they're both the heirs of like their family's rich evil corporations. Also, we see what Octane looks like without his mask. That was the biggest reveal of this whole thing. It showed Octane's face without a mask, and that blew up on the internet. People were like, Octane's kind of hot.
That guy. Hands up.
Oh, that was tight. I forgot how cool that looked. No, too bad he doesn't need those legs later. Too bad he gets rid of those legs.
Where is my daughter?
Oh man, her mom seems so scary.
There you are, my darling. Quite a mess you've made.
I'm so sorry. Stop. You don't want them. You want me. Promise to leave these people alone, and I'll come home.
Go ahead, Captain.
Oh no, they still kill
Consider this a
everybody.
lesson in the family business. We do whatever it takes.
What's up, mi amigos? Welcome to our channel.
We're here
1 million viewers.
hostage situation.
He's over here like, I can't be on your side. You're literally a... Like, this guy's such a jerk. Why are you such a jerk? She just saved your life.
You'll always be ashamed.
Look at his face without a mask.
That ever
Look at his face without a mask.
stopped you.
Tell Silva.
Yeah, that one's really fun. In general, though, like, is it a good story for Outlands? Yes, it's a very fun one. It has some cool animation. It doesn't add too much to the grand scheme of the lore. There wasn't many characters introduced. You finally did meet Lifeline's mom, which is pretty cool. A solid 8s here, probably below Ashes to Ash. So right about there. I think that's a solid spot for it. The first one of the final 3 is what's her name? What's her face? Vantage. Man, I forgot. I feel like a lot of people already forgot about Vantage. Is Morbin time? No, guys, no Morbin times in the chat, please. No more Morbin time, guys. I guess it's Morbin time.
A cargo ship with no cargo.
Vantage's mom
Never
looks
mind
like
the
she's like
outside world.
she looks like the same age as
Our world
Vantage.
is
It
dangerous
always
enough for
throws me
you,
off.
my wild one.
Like they didn't even try to make her look that old.
GDS stand for?
What's the only truth?
I think it's because the voice actresses sound the same.
Wants to kill me.
Okay, here Vantage
Must
goes.
remember to get my gear
Vantage
upgraded.
goes in and makes a done goof moment.
Prisoner T.
Like, why did her mom lie to her? She would have totally been like, hey, I ain't running away from people that wrongly want to imprison me. Like, why lie to your daughter, dude? I remember this being kind of a mid Stories from the Outlands, to be honest. We all love this little bat. The little bat is the highlight of this for sure. This scene is pretty cool though, with all the bats.
I can't see.
Like, it's just constant Morbin time, dude. I'm glad Echo saved your life though. That one is probably one of the worst ones. I'm be real. I think it's because Vantage is kind of such a mid legend that like you can't help but be kind of bored. Also, the whole like premise would have been solved if mom just told the truth to her daughter. Be like, hey, by the way, that ship, don't click anything on it because there's a chance that if you do, it might tell people that they're gonna put me in jail. And be like, mom, why are you going to jail? Then she could just explain it to her daughter. I feel like a lot of these are just like convoluted sometimes, and the more convoluted, the more frustrating it is on the lore side of things. But I think it's probably the worst one. Putting in deeds here for that was lame. I don't know how else to explain it. Like it was boring. Couldn't wait for that one to be over. We got the Catalyst one. Okay, Catalyst. This shows like the broken moon thing. They're working on trying to fix the moon that Seer broke. The funniest thing about this is that the two friends are not ride or die. Like these two friends show up, I think they have a screen time of 10 seconds and then they disappear. Like these two, not ride or die.
Someone
They
needs
just
to do
leave.
something.
They just should have
Last time we
leave.
listened to you, we almost ended up in jail. I thought we were a sisterhood.
Like they just dipped by.
Funny, isn't it? And the moon may be dying, but it's this place that's
They ride but
broken.
not die. It's so funny because Margot's like so nice here, and then later when they go in and just like blow up the entire thing. Like Margot, whoa!
Really?
You never discussed
I'll
this with
tell you
us.
the
You didn't know
contest,
we're gonna go full on eco-terrorism, dude.
Realize
This one feels very human, TBH.
transitioning.
I feel that. I feel that.
Sort of hard. What is this?
It's the goop. The goop. It's the catalyst goop. Yeah, from 0 to 100.
You didn't say anything about a bomb.
What did you think we were doing here?
Stop.
The woman who saved Cleo.
I like that they just captured
I'll
her
tell
and
you what
didn't,
happened to
didn't take
her.
the bomb off.
That's a rough bit of luck.
Broken moon, man. Broken moon.
Now, who she?
Like, that one was cool. That one was definitely a simple one. It does introduce us to Catalyst and Broken Moon at the same time, pretty successfully. Do I think it's one of the better ones? Not really. It's okay. It's probably like top of C tier, above the Father's Letter. C for Catalyst. Simple as that. Okay, now we're on to the final one, Encore. Let's check it out. We already saw earlier some of the best fathers. We saw Viper being a good dad. We saw Newcastle being a good dad. We saw Watson being a good dad. Watson's dad being a good dad. And now we got this mofo. Arguably the worst dad. I feel like Ballistic's son is definitely going to be a character in the future. Terrible dad, dude. Terrible dad. Just look at him abandoning his boy. Look at his cry. Look at those real tears.
Mountains for everyone.
Bottom tier dad.
Ballistic's son, Nathaniel, has just qualified for the Apex Games.
I hope Nathaniel does come, though, genuinely. Man, he was so angry about that, but look at this. He's about to go off. Cuts his hair. His gun's underneath his pool table. Got the smart pistol on lock. The glasses. The absolute shades. He does look super cool, man.
Mr. Green, for our pension division. You and I are going to make a deal. Ah, yes, I so fondly remember you. Soft-touch negotiation style. You keep my boy out of the games. He never sets foot upon your soil. Then I'm all yours. Do we have a deal?
Yeah, it's like two sides of the coin. It does look really cool, the red glasses and the green glasses being juxtaposed with each other. I wonder what Nathaniel would have done in the games. He looks pretty generic. That was the final one. This one's really good, though. Genuinely, it's a great introduction to a new character. Ties in Silva, ties in all these other things. I hope Ballistic lives up to the hype. Easy S tier, S for Sun. I think Ballistic is showcased off perfectly in this Stories from the Outlands. I hope future Stories from the Outlands showcase the new Legends pretty good. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. That is my Apex Legends Stories from the Outlands tier list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Which one's your
It's not a secret that Hello Neighbor was overhyped for what it was. It had its fair share of bugs. It's not a secret that Hello Neighbor was overhyped for what it was. It had its fair share of bugs, gameplay choices that could drive you insane, convoluted puzzles, and overall poor execution that received negative publicity. But that doesn't mean it wasn't a success. As Tiny Build saw a massive opportunity with the IP, and with the younger fans still supporting it, a franchise was born. And now there's this. The sequel that did a lot of things right, but made some pretty big promises and, almost like its tradition, had a very rough, controversial launch. After covering the original and with the second game released last year, I think it's about time that we see what went wrong with Hello Neighbor 2. And apparently, quite a lot went wrong.
As always, I'm Wicked Wiz, being a man of my word and
standing in another fridge with a short announcement. It's finally happened. The one thing that nobody asked for. YouTuber merch. That's right, we finally have a limited edition plush. The perfect jar filler. The fluffiest beard, who was even touched by Henry Cavill himself. This plush is available for a limited time only. So if you want your own little Wiz to stand or sit on your desk, then check the link in the description below. Now on to the actual video. In the process of Dynamic Pixels being acquired by Tiny Build, it went through a bit of a transformation and was rebranded to Eerie Guest Studios. Some of those who were originally working at Dynamic Pixels stuck around, and now Tiny Build had another studio to help with the production of games for this growing franchise. Like Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, the prequel to the original, initially released on the 6th of December 2018. That was, to be fair, positively received by fans. It was made at the time where Dynamic Pixels was still Dynamic Pixels, so it does share some of these same quality control issues, but it's not as bad as Hello Neighbor. But in this game, the AI is your brother, and you you just gotta run from it. No sneaking around a house, no breaking into a basement. It's all about finding stuff and exploring the backstory to the neighbor through the eyes of his traumatized children. But then there was Secret Neighbor, released in October 2019, that is still a fairly active multiplayer game where you get to play as one of 6 kids trying to get into the neighbor's basement. But here's the catch. One of them is secretly a neighbor. Of course, with this being a multiplayer game, you can get yourself some sweet neighbor swag. And of course, there are 2 currencies, one of them being premium. I'd hate to think how much money people actually spent on this game, but who am I to judge? When I used to think buying armor in Shiv made me look cooler and therefore play better. But this game does contain an event that is actually relevant to this video. There was also this game here, Hello Engineer, which was all about making wacky vehicles and racing with friends. To be fair, it seems like a harmless bit of fun, but it was totally unrelated to what you'd expect from these types of games. It just seemed like they made an entirely different game but plastered the IP on top of it to make it sell. But it was a Stadia exclusive anyway, so massive L on that front. Although it is coming to Steam, so if you want the Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts we have at home, then there you go. To add to this ever-growing franchise, they also released a cartoon series that's surprisingly self-aware.
He never chases me past his property line. Weird, huh?
A very profitable book series, merchandise including plushies, which I'm not allowed to make fun of, a random board game, and other stuff. The viewpoint from tinyBuild when it comes to making this a franchise is to explore other media, and with great success, that's exactly what they did. tinyBuild are well aware of the demographic that largely follow their games. I mean, it's no surprise that it appeals to a typically younger audience, primarily from ages 8 to 16, according to tinyBuild's press release. And you could say that this is a franchise that fits into a similar vein as mascot horror, although I wouldn't personally place it in that subgenre. And of course, there has been a lot of discussion about mascot horror recently. It does share a very lucrative audience as a sort of family-friendly horror, which kind of makes this whole situation worse, because regardless of demographics, quality still matters. And although things have admittedly been better with some of their new releases, Hello Neighbor 2, as we'll soon find out, came with a few big promises that arguably helped to sell this game, but didn't deliver on, with a release that felt again rushed. Our story with Hello Neighbor 2 actually begins with Secret Neighbor. More precisely, an event that gave the fans what they wanted, a mystery to be solved. It was called the Mayak event. Now, bear with me, there is quite a lot to this and an already well-made video that goes into detail about it. In the game, players found a pinboard with photos that spelt out /HGP. This turned out to be an extension for the secretneighbor.com URL. If you put /HGP at the end of it, then you'd get this big red button that says don't press. Of course, people pressed the button, and when they did, it would download a zip file. But to open it, you'd need a passcode. Where could people find this passcode? Well, around this time, a random door appeared on one of the maps with a question mark on the lock. In this game, doors like this typically come with numbers, and there's always a corresponding key card that goes with it. But of course, this was a mystery that had to be solved, and people went on the lookout for this key card. Eventually, some players noticed that there was a bird flying around the house, and that if you shoot it, it drops the secret key card. Using it on the mysterious door leads you into a room with a teleporter and a printer. Now, there's no power in this room, but there was a wind turbine on the top of the house. So people quickly figured out that they needed to get it going just to power up this teleporter. However, to do this, you need to cause a storm, which is a whole other thing to figure out. But with the power on, players could finally use the teleporter, and it led them into a room with nothing much besides a 5 light combination below this screen. Players quickly found out that in the teleporter room, the printer had 5 lights, and all they had to do was have somebody teleport to the other side, read out the combination, and have someone else put it into the printer. Once done, it would print out a 4-character code, which was required to unlock the zip file. But here's the catch. The code was 80 characters long, so this whole process had to be done 20 times just to gain access. But with the code in hand and the zip file unlocked, you may wonder what's inside. Well, it's a game called Hello Guest, where you'll find yourself in a rundown theme park as a security guard. There's not really any direction as to what you need to do, but something's following you. This little fella right here, who conveniently runs away when you spot him. The whole objective of this game was to power up a roller coaster ride, and every time your shift ends, you're able to go to the store to pick up some fuel in order to power it. The reward for beating this game is that you can actually see what's behind this big wall, and that was pretty much it. Now, this whole ARG event lasted for about 2 weeks with people figuring out on Discord, but after that, it was pretty much radio silence. Little did anybody know that this game was pretty much a pre-alpha for a new game that was in fact called Hello Guest. And it didn't take till the 13th of June 2020 for that to become a reality, as on that day, Alpha 1 for Hello Guest was released. Now, thankfully, you can play this one for free on Steam, so I gave it a go and it was pretty good. In this game, you can pick between 2 different characters, Quentin or Beatrix, and you'll find yourself again working the night shift as a security guard in a dilapidated amusement park. After a short cutscene, you'll walk down a path for a little bit and quickly notice that you're holding a map. Following this path, you'll hear a phone ringing in the distance, and it seems to be coming from your office. Once you make it inside and answer the phone, your objective is made clear by this checklist that tells you to check the top of the mountain. When you go outside, you'll get another cutscene that shows you something going on up on the mountain. So already the mystery has presented itself, but now you've got to find a way up there. And in true Hello Neighbor fashion, you're going to have to explore and piece things together to actually achieve this objective. For example, you'll notice this building, and to get access to it, you're going to need to open up this gate, which requires a key. After looking all over the place, I eventually discovered it in the attic of the office, which actually makes sense because the key would be somewhere in your office. Or you could just use a fire extinguisher to jump over the fence. Either way works. But while you're exploring, you'll also notice that there are a bunch of Hello Neighbor haters kicking the shit out of this already warped amusement park. This makes sense because you're at work and you're meant to do your job, which means you've also got to scare them away and also watch them phase through giant walls. But there is something else out there, something clicking in the distance, who is of course the Birdman, the guest. Now, similar to the ARG, he only attacks you when you're not looking, which makes for some decent jump scares. Oh my god, he's right there. After every 15 minutes, your shift ends and you make some money. But you can also see that if you don't scare these vandals away, then you'll make less money. Which is pretty cool because you're meant to be just doing your job, but there's a mystery going on that you want to solve. Anyway, at this point, you can go on and continue your shift, or you can go to the store. And this is where money is important because in the store, you have a whole bunch of items to choose from that are necessary to making it up to the mountain. When exploring, you'll find another building with this long staircase, and inside there are these separate rooms, and one that is blocked by a generator. This is actually a key item that you need along with cables to power up things such as this machine that combines objects into even more useful ones. For example, somehow I managed to make some springy shoes from a fire extinguisher and fuel. I don't know how, I don't know why, but the sound of these shoes is straight out of Looney Tunes. Anyway, after a while I figured out that you need to power up this building here with the generator to open the elevator doors within. The first door is a pretty simple timed sequence where you need to flip the switch that corresponds with the light, but the second door is a bit more difficult because it's all the way at the top of the elevator shaft. So with springy shoes and a fire extinguisher, which is basically a jetpack, I managed to propel myself upwards, but at the top there were also another set of lights. The problem is that the switches are all the way at the bottom and there's no way to complete this in time. However, you can use a camera and stick it up there to see what light turns on, and there you go, puzzle solved. Once you make it up through the lift, you find yourself in this room, and there's not really anything here, but there is an opening to jump outside. And when you do, there's another cutscene. So there you go, that was the end of Alpha 1 for Hello Guest. And to be honest, I was quite impressed. This felt like a massive step up from what I experienced before. And everything besides the shoes made sense. So it felt good figuring out these puzzles. But this would pretty much be the end of Hello Guest as we know it. Because only a month later, on the 23rd of July, Hello Guest suddenly turned into Hello Neighbor 2. They changed the name on the same day, and a new alpha came out along with an official announcement trailer. So if people weren't too sure before, Hello Neighbor 2 was now a thing. And this is where it all starts to get a bit weird, because from this point onwards, promises were made, features were shown, but the outcome only left people confused. The Hello Neighbor 2 Alpha 1 has you playing as game journalist Quentin, who's trying to figure out what happened to the simming neighbor. It follows a similar concept where you have a house that you need to break into, and you need to find items to access a door. In the intro cutscene, you're given some information as to what you need to do, and it's just enough to get you started. The inhabitant of this house is the guest, and now you're on his property, and he will chase you. The best part about this is that when he grabs you, he actually drags you away to the front of his house and just throws you with ungodly strength, scattering all of your items. I also noticed that in the trailer, he trips over stuff, and honestly, I just thought that this was a part of the trailer, not something you can do in game. But when you throw stuff at him, he actually does trip over in the most pathetically funny way possible. This really beats throwing something at the neighbor just for him to tank it and slow down for a second. I love it, man. Now, remember when I said Hello Neighbor had these nonsensical, convoluted puzzles in the last video? Well, I have to say, they've definitely improved a lot when it came to this alpha. For example, the guest has a bedroom with a key item in it, which is the crowbar, but it's locked by some key code. Instead of having to find the key code somewhere in the house or in one of the abandoned buildings, you're given a camera at the start of the game, and if you sneak up onto the top floor and place the camera pointing at the lock, then eventually you'll see the guest go into his room, but when he does, you get the code. To me, this is promising game design, because you're given a tool that you're not too sure what to do with yet, but when you figure it out, it all makes sense. There's none of this find a random object and place it in random location to unlock a code. It's just common sense, and that's what I was looking for in the original. Anyway, when you go inside this room, you'll find the crowbar, but there's an issue. You've just pressed some loud buttons and he's probably on his way to get you. So you could run back and risk having your items thrown all over the place, or you can use the crowbar straight away on these planks of wood blocking the window. Again, this is competent game design. They introduce a new item and you're forced to use it straight away. The next challenge is now to find the key, and it's in a fireplace that's sometimes on and sometimes off. And to get it, it requires timing and distractions. Fortunately for me, the guest bugged out on my van and I could just walk in and grab the key. But now with the key and the crowbar, I need to find a way to get into the attic. And at first, it doesn't seem too easy to get inside. But when you make it on top of the roof, you'll notice that there's this cable right above the attic door. At first glance, it doesn't really make sense as to why it would be here, but it's actually a hint. Because in this alpha and the alpha before it, you can swing with cables. So to me, it was quite clear that I needed to find a generator so I can swing off of the roof into the attic. At first, it was pretty difficult to find, but after exploring the map, I could hear the noise of a generator near the supermarket. And this is the same supermarket from the last alpha, but this time it's all boarded up and out of service. So eventually I found the generator on the roof, and it also came with another cable. I'm pretty sure I was meant to use this generator for something else, but after using the key and painstakingly trying to get these planks of wood off the door, I set up the generator on the roof and swung into the attic, which honestly was a pretty cool experience. Everything besides the guest getting stuck on my van felt like it was rooted in logic, at least for this universe. But anyway, inside this room, you'll find a costume. For who, we don't know, but after picking it up, it seems pretty clear because, oh my god, there he is. The Neighbor 2. So far, this all looks very promising. It feels like they listened to the feedback and just wanted to make a better game. And you can see that they actually put some thought behind the alpha. October 2020 began with an announcement/reveal of Alpha 1.5, saying that it would be released later that month on the 26th, and it was released on time. Not as a separate game, but as an update to the existing Alpha. Now, Alpha 1.5 is very similar to Alpha 1, but this time it's Halloween themed and the puzzles require a bit more work to figure them out. For example, the crowbar is stuck behind this fence and there's no way to get to it, but you'll notice that next to it there's a plug socket and a switch. when you use a generator to power whatever this is, you'll see that a conveyor belt below starts moving, and it's clear that you need to get the crowbar on that conveyor belt. But how would you make it fall? Well, if you've used a fire extinguisher before, then you'll know that it has the ability to move objects. So if you use it on the crowbar, it will fall onto the conveyor belt and then it will be taken outside. All you have to do after that is just climb up onto the roof, and there you go, you've got yourself the crowbar. The next item you need is the key, and it can again be found in a furnace. Although this time, it's a bit more challenging, because once you get the fire extinguisher, you may think to yourself, oh, I can just put this fire out, no problem. Well, what you'll also notice is that there's a conveyor belt feeding the fire with more junk. But that's not a problem, you can always flip this switch here and reverse it. But the fire is still pretty hot, and it takes a while to put it out. And in